Right, hello and welcome to Accountants Are Sexy Change My Mind. Beth, you are an accountant, are you not?
I am, apparently.
Wonderful job. From Two Sisters Accounting. And tell us, let's launch into it. Why are you an accountant?
I mean, it's quite a ridiculous story. I left school at 17 because I hated it. And I worked in a call center, a claims call center for 5 months, which was living hell.
Yeah, done that.
Yeah, got shouted at every day. And then I applied for a job in customer services in a payroll umbrella company, and they went, "Oh, you've got an AS level in maths, we'll stick you in the payroll team."
Oh.
And I just kind of fell into it from there, because I started working in payroll. I realised, oh yeah, I can do this. And then after various payroll jobs, ended up in a small accountancy practice where I didn't have enough payroll to do. So I started teaching myself bookkeeping and tax returns, and kind of just started pinching jobs and work from managers. And I was like, I'll do that, I'm bored. And here I am today.
And poof, you're an accountant.
Yeah, because some people like to do it the normal way. Jessie did it the normal way. She studied, she got university, Big Four, trained, qualified, chartered, all that. She did it the like sensible way.
And
I just went proper way. And I went, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing with my life now.
So what you're saying is accountancy chose you, you didn't choose accountancy.
Yes, you can put it like that. Sounds horrible.
Do you enjoy it? Obviously, you've kind of fallen into this role bit by bit by bit, so you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do actually love it. I think, but I mean, it drives me mad because everything constantly changes and there's so many different rules and things and all of that. But I think that's part of the reason I love it, because there's always new stuff to learn. While I'm not sort of a sit down and give me exams learning sort of girl, but oh, here's a new problem. How can I fix this? How can I make it work? Love that. And you can always do that in accountancy and stuff. There's always a problem where you can go, how can I fix this?
Yeah. So most people would imagine that accountancy is very much rule based and process driven, but there are a lot of challenges that come along the way as well. Is that through working with a variety of clients, or is that how do you find that diversity?
I think it's range of clients, and everybody you speak to does something slightly different or wants something slightly different. I don't think two businesses or two people are ever the same. And there'll always be somebody that comes out with something weird and wants to know whether that's right or wrong or not. So there is constant learning, I find. Obviously, like the key bits and the day-to-day bits, once you've answered that question 100 times, you know it, you're fine. But there's always new questions that pop up and new oddities where people go, it's always a classic. My mate said this, and I'm like, right, okay, off we go.
So you just ate the bloke down the pub.
I mean, that bloke down the pub, I don't know where he gets his advice from, but
he gets about a bit, I've heard.
It's very busy.
So tell me some of the challenges that you and the odd questions, because I'm part of a few accounting groups on Facebook, and I've seen some strange ones. So what strange questions have you been asked?
I'm trying to think. I think my favourite recently, and simply because of the follow-up of it, an actual psychotherapist started asking me about if she could get a therapy dog for her clients. And now I get photo updates of the dog in the office.
Beautiful.
I get emails of photos of this beautiful chocolate lab in sessions and stuff, because she's like, I promise he is actually a therapy dog. And I'm like, I'm sold.
Here's my evidence.
Because I said to her, I was like, you need to be able to prove it to HMRC. And she was like, here we go, here's proof. I was like, you won me over.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now it's like you've sponsored a child in Africa, with all your updates.
I just love it. Every now and then I see an email pop up from him. I'm like, oh, dog.
Wonderful. So you haven't come in the traditional way. That's, I mean, we've briefly touched on this just before we started recording. Do you think that there has been a change in the way people are finding accountancy? Because the younger accountants seem to come in through various different avenues now. So what's that all about?
I think it's good that so many of us are coming in from different ways and kind of blowing it apart. I know when I first started, the people that were qualified from experience were few and far between, and kind of we're still not that regarded as being as worthy as people with all their qualifications and stuff. But I think these days we're kind of starting to shift that, and I absolutely, there's fully a place for the qualifications, and I wouldn't recommend anybody did this without learning and knowing exactly what they're doing. But I think we're starting to show that you don't have to do that just from these very structured set of exams. You can kind of do whatever way you want, and people are coming in from so many different angles. So I started from payroll, and I wouldn't have been able to do this without working in a small accountancy practice for years and learning on the job there. Because I learned everything, it's like how to run the practice, because it was so small. I kind of got involved in a little bit of everything, which is how I worked it all out. But I think it's just part of the generational shift as well. Everyone's getting bored of the 9 to 5. It doesn't work for us anymore. People don't want to be trapped at a desk going, I finished all my work 4 hours ago, but I have to stay here, so I look like I'm busy.
Playing solitaire.
I'm not sure. At one office, I used to just go through the files and just click into each folder just for something to do, just in case I found anything that looked interesting.
That's incredible. How dull.
Yeah, I'd finished my work. There was nothing else to do in it. But no, I couldn't possibly go home. I just had to sit there.
But it's time, isn't it? And I find this fascination with being paid by time like really weird, because you're just paying for unproductive people just to sit at a desk. Much rather they go and rest, or like expand their mind somewhere else, or go on a project or do charity work or something. Go home and see your family.
Yeah, I've never understood this. Just as long as the tasks that have to be done are done, I don't understand why we all have to sit there for 8 hours a day scratching our heads. Like, I'm one of those people, I can absolutely blast through it in 4 hours and then be done. But I get other people do prefer to work slower, and that's great for them. And it's like some people prefer to work 12 to 8 p.m. or whatever. It's just, ugh. I could talk about for hours how offices are just need to change.
So do you have, because you have a business partner, is that right? Your sister?
My big sister. Yeah, big sis.
So do you have an office?
No, we don't. We both work from home. There were 2 of us, we're sisters. We never saw the point in shelling out for an office.
Yeah.
When we just don't need one.
Absolutely. So you meet at the pub in the middle.
She's got 2 little ones, so it's usually if we need to do things together, I have to go to her to work around the children, which is absolutely fine. And if we need to meet clients, there's 101 coffee shops, pubs, hotel bars. Like, there is always somewhere you can meet them. Or like the clients that I've worked with for years and years, I will let pop their records by my front door, but most of them aren't allowed in.
Limits and boundaries. Reasonable.
Any clients rocking up in my house, I'm all right.
So out of the 2 of you then, is there a primary sister that looks after your marketing function and drives the business in that respect?
I'm definitely the sort of business development one, which you can, if you've seen me on LinkedIn, you will know Jessie isn't. I don't even know if Jessie's on there. If she is, it's like your classic 100-year-old made the
doesn't have a profile picture,
made the profile when she was leaving uni to get her first job, sort of thing. Whereas I am spend far too much time on that, and it works, because actually that's the stuff that I really enjoy. Jessie likes doing the sort of the limited company accounts and management accounts and all that, the sort of more techie stuff. As I do the payroll, I do the personal tax, and I love that. But I really like doing the marketing. I love doing the business development, speaking to new clients, getting to know everybody.
It's all the people bits, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like the people bits, which is hilarious, because most people would be like, Beth, you don't like people. I'm like, I know, but I do. It's very complicated.
I have a complicated relationship with people. I think for me, I would call myself an ambivert. So I don't know whether you believe in introverts, extroverts. I firmly sit in the middle, and every test I've ever done tells me that I'm correct. It just depends on where I am in my life. And if I'm in my introverted phase, people hire me out.
Oh, exhausting. I'm tired. Absolutely exhausting. Even with my best friends, if I spend a full weekend with them, by the Monday I am horrible, because I just need to go and sit in a cave on my own for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, when I'm in my extroverted phase, I get really excited and I just need to be around people. So there's no pleasing me, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I usually will go, I'm really excited, I really need to be around people. And then, no, bye.
Done now. See you later.
night, I'm done, I'm over it. Like I'll always say, it's like at parties and stuff, I have about 4 hours. For 4 hours I will be fun, I will be engaged, I will be on it. At the end of 4 hours, it's like a switch and people can see it and they're like, you're done, aren't you? And I'm like,
I'll call you.
Bye.
So let's go back to the beginning of your story. Let's talk about why you two set up in the first place. Obviously, you've got strengths that complement each other. That much is clear. But how did it happen?
I think so. We were both working 9 to 5s that were slowly but surely killing us. We were just miserable. All we used to do was whinge about our jobs and work and how we just, I can't do this forever. And then I think Jessie and her husband went on a night out in London or something. She tells me it's the pub just outside of London Bridge where they were having a drink when this conversation happened, and her husband just went, well, why don't you two just try setting up on your own? Like, I can't listen to you keep whinging. Why don't you give it a go? Like, Beth does the payroll and the tax stuff. You do limited company accounts. Like, give it a go. And then she texted me and I was like, oh yeah, it's a really good idea. So we just decided what have we got to lose? The joy of a business like this is you're up front to insurance, ICAEW fees or whatever association you're registered with, and some software, and that's kind of it. Like, we already had computers. If you're doing it this way and work from home, there aren't any big costs. We kind of thought, yeah, why not?
There you go. So the cost for setting up a business these days is phenomenal. It's so accessible. It's so low, so accessible. Is that a good thing in the big scheme of things? Obviously it is for us because we've both set up phenomenal businesses, but is that a good thing in the big scheme of it?
It is and it isn't. I speak to some people and I will provide as much help and advice and talk them through it as much as I can, but I leave the conversation thinking you're going to get yourself in trouble and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Like, I've explained this so thoroughly, and I know that running a business is not for you, and it's awful to say, but with some people you can just tell it from the first conversation, and I just go away thinking, oh God, please don't cost yourself this much money.
It's the same for me in a marketing capacity as well. I come in and consult for people, and you can only do so much. And
sometimes you just watch it and you know it's going to be a car crash. And I have got off phone calls when I've just gone, sometimes I think, should I just say to people, I honestly don't think you should be doing this? But then I think I can't, because they have that conversation with me and then it twigs something and then they go off and read more and learn more and hopefully speak to 5 other accountants, and one of them, it may explain it away where it suddenly clicks. So in that way, no. And I do see people that get themselves in such a pickle because, or they set up and then 18 months later they've suddenly got 15 fines through the door and call in a panic. So it is good, but it also isn't. When it's not good, it's really not good. But when it is good for people like us and all these small entrepreneurs, that especially at the moment with the pandemic, the amount of people that set up on their own, that is amazing that people are able to do that and have that freedom.
And you can almost make a difference in anything now. It's like anything you would like, you can think of. You can have a program, you can do coaching, mentoring, consulting on any subject at all.
I know, yeah. It's quite incredible, some of the things that I speak to people and they're doing, and I'm like, I never even would have thought of that.
Yeah, but the ingenuity is that word. It's incredible. So tell me about the company, your kind of ideal clients, because obviously there's ones that we can't help, but they're not ideal. So who do you work with? Who do you love working with?
So we are quite a women working with women business. Obviously we do work with men, we don't turn anyone away, but my idea, to be perfectly honest, and it sounds really vain, my ideal client is someone like me. They have set up their own business, they're young and like new into it, they love it, it's kind of, and they just enjoy what they do and are kind of fairly laid back. I don't need people that are going to be screaming at me because I haven't even done them back in 4 hours. That's not how we work. I kind of like working with people, there's a very mutual respect, and it kind of builds into a friendship and oh well, you've done that, well we've done this, and that sort of thing. Like I like build community or whatever you want to call it with my clients. Like, I like having good relationships with them. So sort of people like that. It's not a specific industry or niche or anything like that. It's kind of my sort of person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not overly keen on the term, but your tribe, isn't it? Your kind of people. Yeah, no, I understand that. And finding them, how do you turn that concept into a kind of marketing strategy? Do you have a strategy for attracting clients, or are you winging it?
I've got very, very lucky in that the rubbish that I shove up on LinkedIn and my obnoxious personality, people seem to like. And I don't know how I've got away with it. And one day it's going to come crashing to the ground and it's all going to fall apart. But for now, I've got very, very lucky that people seem to like the rubbish that I put out on the internet, and I'm just going to keep
fantastic
going along with that.
So obviously you're showing a lot of personality on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I haven't posted them for a while. I need to film another batch, but there was a good 6 months run for a year where I was every Friday there'd be a video going up of me talking through accounting things or just talking rubbish. And I think the video thing where people can actually see you and get to know you, it makes such a difference. You have to hear a voice, see a face, like learn mannerisms, and actually show people me explaining accounting things which they thought were baffling, and then they suddenly go, oh, well, that's really simple, and actually she made that quite funny. And so then
putting your first video out, how did that feel?
I mean, when I look back at the very early ones, they are just dreadful. I think it's me sat in my car just like, they definitely they got better. I mean, they're still not perfect. They are absolutely one take. They're anywhere between 1 minute to 2 minutes, and it's just me on my phone just talking, and then they get captioned up and that's it. There is no fancy editing, there is no frills, it's just me chatting. But that's kind of the way I do things. I'm not a very frilly person, so it's important to keep it real to how I am.
So did you set out at the beginning with an idea that you wanted to create 6 months worth of Friday videos, or did that just kind of happen more organically?
It was very organic. I kind of started posting them up and seeing that they were doing, people enjoyed them and they got traction. So then it was basically whenever I have makeup on, I'd just film a batch of videos, if I'm perfectly honest.
I know that, but I've started not caring anymore. Like, I've got no makeup on today, I've started not caring, but that was my tactic as well. If I looked pretty, I'd film a couple.
yeah, that's how it started. I would just be, and then I'd think of stuff. It's one of those things like when you're driving around, you go for a walk, or you're in the gym or whatever, you start thinking of topics and things, or emails and conversations from clients. Like a lot of the videos and stuff would be prompted from an email from a client asking a question, and then I'd go, oh, or like daily life. I think most of us that post rubbish on LinkedIn, it's from interactions throughout the week where you think, oh yeah, I can post about that. It was never really a plan, if I'm honest. A lot of what I do is not planned. It's fairly off the cuff, which a lot of people tell me off for.
How do they tell you off?
Because apparently I should plan things and have a method to my madness.
Does it work?
Yeah, exactly. The chaos works. I say to people all the time, I'm like, just embrace the chaos, just go with it. It will work itself out. I've learned this.
I think as a marketing specialist, and I've spent most of my career in sales, so I'm not a sales specialist, but I understand the sales process. I find it fascinating that people tell people that they have to do things when it's obviously working. If you have enough business and you've got enough clients coming through, and there's a system, even if it's just drop me a DM, I'll give you a call, I'll follow up with a proposal, even if it's as simple as that, like, if it works, it works.
Exactly. And people say, but you could be doing more, you could be doing better. And I'm like, to be honest, we're pretty much like, we stopped taking on clients while because Jesse's on maternity leave at the moment. So we closed our door to new clients anyway. And even before that, I don't think we could have taken on more or done it faster, because if we had done it, it would have just been a horror show and nobody would have been getting any sort of decent service. So actually, when people are like, yeah, but if you refine it, you could be making millions. I'm like, I don't really think that's what I want. I don't want to work every hour under the sun.
Absolutely. And this is why you have to understand your goals. That when I work with clients, the first thing I ask them is, what do you want to achieve? Because if they just want to tick on, and they want to grow slowly, there's no point going hell for leather and like making them do a ton of videos every day and this, that, the other. If they're launching, totally different story. But what is it you want to achieve? So talking about that, Beth, what are your goals? What do you want the firm to do over the next few years?
I think for me and Jessie both, the goal is we don't I don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week building the accountancy monster of the Southeast. I have no interest in that. I don't like working Fridays. At most, I will work a Friday morning. I don't want to work Friday afternoons. I don't want to work outside of the hours of 8 and 5. And I want to live comfortably. Those are basically our goals.
Yeah.
Just comfort in working hours, comfort financially. And that's basically it. I'm not trying to take over the world and become a millionaire. I just want a nice life.
Do you have, I mean, I think you said you closed your books at the moment, but is there a target number of clients that you want at any point?
Not really, no, because it's very hard to put on a specific number of clients, because obviously every client is so different. Because if you have a small limited company versus a limited company with sort of 20 odd employees, they're very different beasts. So no, we don't, again, there's not really a plan to it. We just kind of do it by feel, and we know when it's getting too much and we need to dial it back a bit and put the brakes on and kind of get stuff in place to make it work. And then when we need to go again. And again, I know people that always say you should be planning 6 months in advance, so you know what staff you're going to need where and stuff. But I think because we're both so involved in it day to day, I think we do have a very good feel for it, of how we're doing, where we're doing. Usually when I start shouting at people that I know, time to stop.
But do you have any employees?
We have a Kickstarter at the moment.
Yay. Mine started this week. He'll be editing this in a minute, so hi Cormac.
Yes, we have a Kickstarter that kind of helps out with the admin side of things and the bookkeeping and all of that. And then we have freelance bookkeepers, so we've kind of, with our company model, with how we like to work and how we like to work with people, actually for us freelancers is better than full-time staff, partly because staff would expect me to be online between 8 and 5 Monday to Friday, and that's going to be a problem. So, yesterday my poor Kickstarter, I was in the middle of showing her something and she'd gone off to do it, and then she just got a message from me saying, actually I'm going to the beach, we'll pick this up tomorrow.
Wait, did you see that? I think there was a LinkedIn update. Did you sit on a pebbly beach?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there we are.
I did, and then I came back at 5 and started working then, because I thought, actually the sun is out, I am not missing this.
Oh, isn't that such an incredible way of living though? That's so beautiful.
It makes it all worth it.
So when did you start the business?
About 3.5, coming up for 4 years ago.
Okay. And what were your thoughts on how you were going to grow it when you were brand spanking new?
Hope and a prayer. I just kind of realised that social media was probably going to be the answer. So I think we started mostly on Facebook. You know, you have those local Facebook groups. Yeah. And I was just slamming sort of adverts and information and hi, we're here into there. And then word of mouth. Obviously websites take a good couple of years to kind of actually grow and get traction. I find if you do them yourselves, I'm sure website people will tell me that it can be much quicker, but when you're doing
a lot of energy into it.
Yeah. And then I found LinkedIn, I can't even remember, for about 2 years ago, and that was the big shift. To be fair, for the first year we'd set up, and then 2 months later Jessie went, by the way, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh. So the first year was very slow and steady. I kept my full-time job when we first set up for the first sort of 9 months.
Yeah.
And obviously Jess was pregnant, because we also thought we can't try and aggressively grow this when we don't know how you're going to be with your first child and all of that. So the first year was very slow, but looking back, I'm quite grateful for it, because it really gave us a chance to work out what on earth we were doing with the clients we did get on, and building it up and working it all out, instead of having to go, right, we've both quit our jobs, we need to make this much a month. It gave us that safety net to work it out what we were doing.
Yeah, I think that's underestimated sometimes, or undervalued. I had a job when I was setting this business up myself, and people were like, well, you're just not committing. You're not committing to your job or your business. And I'm like, well, I am. I'm just also making sure that my family are okay and can eat.
I still have to pay my mortgage, actually.
Yeah, if that's all right with you.
I mean, again, the joys of these jobs where I was for a week or so, a month, I had absolutely nothing to do, did mean I probably shouldn't freely admit this, but I was just working on their time, because I was like, if you're not going to give me work to do, I've got stuff I can do.
Yeah, I definitely scribbled down a few marketing. I worked for the Snow Dome, so I live in Milton Keynes, and we have a snow dome in the centre, and I was working for them as part-time, and when I had nothing to do, I'd write their marketing strategy, and they don't know, but I'd be doing this, I'd be doing that.
That's how you do it, isn't it? Yeah, I'd be coming up with ideas, and kind of poor Jessie would just have her phone blowing up as I was thinking of ideas and frantically texting them to her. Or I remember back in the early days, her voicemail, when I was driving, I just used to purposely call to get her voicemail to say ideas to her, and she'd be like, what is all of this? And I was like, sorry, this is my brain working, because once it starts going, it doesn't shut up.
Voice notes.
3.5 years ago, I don't think we're really doing voice notes on WhatsApp, are we? Yeah. These days, voice notes would be far easier. Before, she just got her voicemail.
And every other one is someone that she actually does want to hear from. So the accounting industry has changed. Once again, we touched on this like just before this conversation started. So tech driven. It's so fancy pants these days. Do you obviously you use tech in your business. What do you use?
I mean, I have to start by saying I love the tech driven. I mean, 5 years ago, I was working in a firm that did all their payroll, and they still had everything printed off in wall files, and it was living hell. So I love the tech world. Obviously, I'm a massive Xero girl. I love Xero. I will tolerate QuickBooks. It's okay. Much else, I don't really care for you. I'm going to be honest. Sage, I'm really sorry, guys. I know some people really like Sage. The big from me. We use Accountancy Manager for running the practice, which I adore. Since we got into that, it's made life so much easier. And then we started off with Tax Filer for tax and accounts and stuff, but what Xero's putting out is slowly getting more and more interesting in those terms, so it's kind of watching that. I know Jessie started doing a lot of the accounts through the Xero accountancy stuff. I'm definitely keeping an eye out on the personal tax stuff that they're putting together. Yeah,
they do seem to dominate, don't they?
They are just, I say it to every client that signs up that asks about Xero and QuickBooks and stuff. I say Xero is better, QuickBooks is cheaper.
Yeah. And but in the grand scheme of running a business, surely you need the information from Xero that it can deliver, and the speed of which it can deliver, and all of the automation that it has as well. Not to mention the apps that just kind of connect with it. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree, but when people are really on a shoestring, it can be really hard to sell 26 quid a month versus a tenner.
Yeah.
Which can be the price difference between the different packages and levels and stuff. So
yeah, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? Like, and I know everybody goes through their own journey, and there's definitely been times in my business where I have had no money, like less than no money. But if the difference is £16 a month, you do wonder, like, what do you need to sell? What do you need to sell to get 16 quid a month?
And it's quite often people start on QuickBooks or any other package really and go, I don't like it, I don't understand it, how does it work?
Yeah.
And I just go and shift them across, and suddenly they go, oh, this is much easier.
Yeah.
But I do know that software is such a individual preference. I know people that absolutely despise Xero and will only work with QuickBooks. I know people that think Sage is the best thing that has ever happened to them. So it's so personal. But
I'm not. Yes, I know people like that too. I know one of someone I'm relatively close with. She is a Sage trainer, and she loves Sage, and she loves everything about it. She knows everything about it. She's a singing Sage lady. I will introduce you if you don't know her. She's very funny. But I don't get it for my business. I don't even do my own accounts or bookkeeping. But when I want the information, I can get it, and that's what I need. Do you then use as much tech in your marketing as you do in your accounting firm?
I mean, does social media count? And my dodgy videos that
Do you use like email systems, automation?
I mean, we do have a mailing list.
Yeah.
But the problem there being that I love writing the newsletters. I really enjoy it. However,
it seems like an admission coming up.
I don't know the last time I wrote one.
Yeah.
I think it's been possibly 4 months. So sorry, guys, I should probably get on that. And then I think, oh no, I really just need to start paying someone to do this for me. And then I think, oh, but I do like it. And then it's like, Beth, just give it up, mate. You don't have the time. You've got to stop this. I'm a little bit of a hoarder with the stuff that I really like doing, and then I realise I don't have time to do it.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. So you don't have regular emails going out at the moment. So how do you, or do you, like, how do you, let me get my questions right. How do you communicate with your clients on a regular basis? Do you only ever call them, or do they call you? What's the communication strategy there?
Mostly, most people I will hear from on email quite regularly. So if they've got questions, they'll pop up and they know they can email me whenever they want. So that's most of them. I do try it. We monitor people when their year ends are coming up. So like just before their year end, check in and see how they're doing, what's cracking, if there's anything we need to get in there before there. But yeah, the tech side of getting in contact with people could definitely be better. When I'm on the mailing list, they're great. They go out every 2 weeks, hints, tips, updates from us and stuff. But
no, it's like the videos though, isn't it? All of a sudden you've got busy, things come along, marketing's taking a back seat. I mean, as you said, you closed your book, so it's probably not top priority for you right now and in the center of your brain.
I think this is part of it, because I know that we've closed our books and actually we're still getting inquiries through, and I'm kind of have to say to people, you're going on a wait list or we're not taking on clients anymore. Part of me is a bit like, I don't want to too aggressively market us, because actually I don't really want the people coming to us to have to push them away. But I know this is going to, in about a month's time, when Jessie's back from maternity leave and I want new clients, I know I'm going to regret this. So I probably need to get my act together about now.
This is like the peaks and troughs of sales. When it's not important, it's not important.
But then part of me is like, because by the time we hit October, then we're pretty much hitting tax return season.
Yeah.
And I don't really like December, January, you don't even market for new clients. They just appear out of the self-assessment wormhole. So yeah. In all reality, it'll probably be February time when I actually start pushing again to really go, because I can
capitalize on that, on the influx that happens in self-assessment season. Do you capitalize on that and grow your list? Is there anything particular that you do there?
I am a glutton for punishment in tax return season. I sit here wanting to cry, and then people will call me going, can you do my tax return? And I'm like, oh, what's another one? Yeah, we'll fit another one in. Because as awful as it is, you can see that you can double or possibly triple, if you really push it, a normal month's billing in January. And it's kind of fun just to see how much you can do.
It's your life. You can do what you want. Some leftovers in January.
Some accountants refuse new clients altogether in January. They refuse to take on those tax return clients. But I just quite enjoy stupid tax return season. I don't know why, I just do.
Weirdo.
I like the stress. I mean, not long term. I could never do it long term, but it's usually only about 2-3 weeks where it's stupid, and then you just think, oh, let's go.
Yeah. Do they then stick around and become clients for the remainder of the year?
Yeah. So usually the tax return clients that I sign up in January then repeat year on year on year. And then usually once I've spoken to them, onboarded them, had a bit of a chat with them about this isn't how we do things. And then once they're on our list, they then get automatic emails from April. One goes out in April, I think June, July, August, saying, send me your records, send me your records, send me your records. So once they're on the books, they're getting harassed to send me their
so
stuff.
you manage them from that point and say, look, let's take this stress away from you. You don't need to do this again. I bet Christmas was bloody awful.
Yeah, and actually your tax return will be done better, because no matter how much attention I try and pay, if you've left it till January, you're not going to get the full week's worth of my brain power to think about it and tinker it. It's going to cost you less, because if you sign up in January, probably going to charge you a bit more, because there just isn't time to not. And it's just nicer for everyone. And actually you have 9 months to find your tax and save it, because the amount of people I speak to in January and I go, you've got a £3,000 tax bill, well, I can't pay it. I can't fix that for you,
You're
hun.
going to have to find it.
Yeah.
Off you go.
And then we have this nice conversation about how much nicer it is if we do things in May.
You sound very organized, which is what accountants need to be. What else do you think makes a good accountant, or why should people use accountants? What value do they bring?
Because I don't know if the tax legislation books, when you're learning to study, there's so many of the things are about this big, tiny little writing on like wafer thin pages. The amount of legislation there is insane. And I don't claim to know it all, but do you know what I do know how to do? I know how to Google it and understand what that bit of legislation means, because I know enough of the background rules and stuff. There's not a hope in hell of somebody that has never run a business and doesn't understand the legislation, doesn't understand how HMRC work, of understanding most of what's out there, and you will get it wrong. You can be the most intelligent person in the world, if you don't understand all the different quirks and rules and this and that bit, and somebody will say something to you and something in your brain will go, ding, 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 we need to look at that. You'll get it wrong and you'll get yourself in mischief.
Yeah, I think time spent on accountancy for me is a waste. Like I don't want to understand the legislation. I want to be told what I can and I cannot do, and that's as far as it goes. And I think for me, I had a really lovely accountant in place when I first started up. It was a cost-effective package that I was signed up to. It wasn't bells and whistles. She was definitely there for me for support. She was definitely there, but it wasn't bells and whistles. And I had an aspiration for when my business grew up and it was sustainable enough to move to this other accountant who was going to offer a lot more, you know. So
yeah,
we talk about my business. He guides me with tax planning and so forth. And it was something that it was almost like a reward for doing well. I could afford a good, not a good accountant, because she was lovely and she is magical, but I could afford that little
the fancy one
there.
I think that's like with us though, because I remember when we first started, it was little things like I made our original logo on Canva, and then once we'd been going for a while and it got a bit better, it was, oh, I can pay somebody to take our logo and make it nice and make it snazzy and like somebody with actual design skills, or like we spent a bit of money on our website, right? Somebody that actually knows about all the SEO stuff that I have, like, and I can do it properly instead of what I've tried to guess and probably done not very well.
And your lovely photos, I'm on your website right now.
I mean, those photos were an absolute gem. When we first set up, a sister photographer got in contact with us and said, we need partnership tax returns done, our own tax returns done. Do you want to swap tax returns for photos? And we were like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. So there's lots of people tell you to stop trading, you know, and I think in the early days you can get carried away with trade after trade after trade. Something that happened to me in my business as well. I was trading this for this and this for this and this for this, and some of the times I didn't really need what it was they were offering, but it was just a way of kind of like building my business. And I definitely for a time forgot to earn money and prioritize paying customers over trading customers. And I was a bit of a busy fool at first. But there's definitely room for trading. Definitely. If you need something, trade.
Yeah, I think like you said, don't be trading for everything and anything. But actually, if there are specific things that you can pay for and it works, like I don't think we ever would have got professional photos done without that trade, because we just wouldn't have prioritized it. We wouldn't have bothered paying for it. I know what we like. It would have just been me with my phone, just taking some awful rubbish shots. But sometimes it's really good because it does mean that you suddenly get stuff that you wouldn't have thought of before.
Yeah, and it just feels like a little bit of a level up, doesn't it?
It's actually having the nice photos on our website makes such a difference. It's like, hey, this is my face and these aren't shoddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having your face on websites and social media profiles and almost everywhere you can really makes a difference, because then people feel like they know you. You let them into your world a little bit when you show your face and don't hide behind a brand.
Definitely. Well, it always makes me laugh when people are like, so what's your brand and all of this? I'm like, this.
I honestly believe brands come after business. If you set a business up because you want to deliver this thing, service or this product. So you set it up for that. Then you get the clients, so the sales process starts to kick in. And then after you've done the marketing, the sales, then you start to think about your branding. And it's a bit of a life cycle, because then it's like, well, now we're on to the next phase. And you almost have to do that repeatedly. So 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Definitely.
You have to grow, and like a teenager, really, you have to grow into who you are.
It's like with the ideal client thing. When the ideal client, you know, when they say draw your ideal client and write things about them and all of that stuff, the versions I did of that month one compared to now would probably be completely different. I can't imagine they'd be the same at all, because actually you learn and you realize what you like and what you don't like, and what does work, what you're actually good at, what you think you're good at, and when you actually do it and then realize what you're good at, I think are very different things. And the same again with what you enjoy. I never ever would have thought I would enjoy the marketing and the people side and the sales side and all of that, but actually that's a bit that I really love. So it's quite surprising when you get stuck into it, realizing what works.
Oh, this has been a really interesting conversation. I'm gonna end it there, but there's one final question that I need to ask you. What's the sexiest thing about accountants?
The sexiest thing about accountants? I mean, me, obviously.
Winner.
Sparkling personalities and brains. Let's go for that. That's probably better.
Amazing. So thank you ever so much.